Та це розгляд матчів, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Вафейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Luca Bertzen, Mark J. Williams,
Well, let's go back to this day in 1993. Bill Clinton was in the White House, John Major at number 10. Phones were still things you made calls on. Tweets were what birds did. But then, as now, there was a fascination with a certain Ronnie O'Sullivan. And here we are on the 30th anniversary of his first capture of the UK Championship title. He's still world number one. He is still the man. We saw that from the introduction there. A lot of excitement that he's back in town on this very special day. As far as Anthony McGill's concerned, the gloves are on for this match. He's got his carbon fibre cue, he's got his glove. He has beaten O'Sullivan at the Crucible, but he's lost the other 7 meetings. It's true what he said, though, isn't it, Neil, Anthony, in his interview? It does feel differently in the arena when Ronnie's playing.
Yeah, that's right, of course it is. And that is unlikely to ever change while he's still part of the professional tour. I don't think that much is going to alter. The fan base is still there. Yeah, I mean, everything you mentioned is very interesting, the way you introduced those 30 years. I guess snooker's not really changed much, but as you pointed out, he's a player with a graphite cue or carbon fibre cue that O'Sullivan is up against today. That's a new thing. It is kind of very new, that. How long he'll continue to use it for, of course, we'll see. If he's using it in a year or whatever, then we'll know it really is something to keep. Anyway, he's in trouble on this first shot. O'Sullivan has put him in a snooker. Been putting in a lot of hours in that practice from our studio is in there. McGill has invariably either been in there practicing or just sitting there watching someone else practice.
Well, O'Sullivan, of course, started out the year before his first win, 92. His first ever match was in the Norbreck in Blackpool against Jason Scott. First qualifying round. It was a long road in those days to the venue. This is his 119th match he played in this tournament alone. 5 years since he last won it. And of course, last year here in the quarterfinals, he was whitewashed by Ding Junhui. McGill has had to fight through the qualifiers, and that's not an easy process, but he actually came through reasonably comfortably. He beat the young Chinese player He Gyokang 6-3, Anthony Hamilton 6-2.
Well, he looked a good shot, but there is a red that's gone close to the left corner that is reachable. Although see how far it is between cue ball and object ball, and it's just off straight, so this is actually more of a test than maybe the camera angle, which kind of foreshortens the shot is telling us. Yeah. Getting onto a colour might have been an even bigger problem.
Just to say, he's been given permission to wear trainers today because he has an ankle injury. It's happened before actually in this tournament, so if you're wondering about the footwear, he has got permission.
Ronnie O'Sullivan what?
McGill is a twice quarter-finalist in the UK Championship, 2014, 2021. Tough match for anyone, clearly. Memories of that World Championship win still fresh. It's interesting because it is 7-1. There are the trainers I mentioned that Ronnie's wearing. It is 7-1 on the head-to-head, but I think the one everyone remembers is that, obviously, that World Championship that was 13-12 to McGill.
Yeah, I think that counts double, doesn't it? I mean, there was a time actually in the old ranking list that the World Championship points did count double to any other event, but just the significance of that match. It shouldn't be underestimated. A long match at the Crucible, 3 sessions, he got the verdict. Yeah, potting the ball and getting position. Both parts of it were not easy. He's going to try and lay in behind Brown, I think, via the green here. In fact, just straight in behind the green instead.
McGill 1. Foul and a miss.
It's almost the way that it happens so often around that 2-cushion shot. Players play to just glance it and they're happy enough if the first effort is a complete miss. Almost just dipping your toe in the water and getting the angle sorted for attempt 2 or even 3. Giving away points for penalty points is not as bad as leaving a chance, clearly. That's why the miss rule exists.
So made the correction. The winner plays the winner of the match on table 2 tonight between Robert Milkins and Tepchara Nu.
Yeah, it wasn't a fluke. He certainly had a look at those couple of reds set up for the corner pocket. It wasn't a dead plan. He had to make it into one. Interesting that he didn't take the brown on. We're seeing a lot of players take those bolt colours to middle pockets to engineer an early chance. But McGill
Скотт Дональдсон, 44-й регіонал, Девіс, 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open,
as quiet as you can early
перший
on.
раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Мафейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Лука Берцель, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джей Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стів Хендрі, Енді Хікс, Девід Гілберт.
The line was good. It's actually a very difficult shot. He's trying to hit just a single red off 4 cushions. And this can go wrong. And if he does overhit it, he goes beyond the red. He hits another red. He could leave something. There might be a red to the left middle, which is potable. So this is not some kind of innocuous escape, which won't lead anywhere. If he doesn't get it right, could go wrong. And of course, he's going to keep being put back if he keeps missing as well.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу. Вихід на розовий шар.
Like that.
McGill 4.
I don't know if there is a red that goes to the middle, like I say. I wonder if McGill has seen it yet.
Yeah.
The way he can't get to it. Difficult shot this, like I say, just to run up in behind one red, not a bunch of reds.
Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому фреймі.
Red that he's
Вихід на чорний шар.
nudge. He's gone wider this time. He's gone wider. And that was the problem, you see. He's made the adjustment, maybe by just hitting it with more pace, and sometimes just the ball would throw off differently from the cushions. Well, McGill has definitely won the safety exchange in this opening frame. Now, with the chance, he's got to capitalise on that.
Exactly, he's done sort of half the work, if you like, earning the chance.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі
Struggled a
з
bit. They played recently in China,
1-0.
the
Так
international
почати
championship.
другий
And
фрейм.
he did have a lot of chances that day. Didn't really score heavily enough. Lost 6-2.
No.
I was thinking, though, the first year O'Sullivan played in this tournament, he beat Nigel Gilbert, who I think he wore a white glove, didn't he?
He did. He was one of the gloved players of that era. There were a few. Still not quite sure why players do wear them, certainly in the UK. I mean, obviously, I can recall playing Peter Ebdon in an event in the Far East and he wore a glove, but I don't ever think I saw him wearing a glove at any other point. So maybe it's just the
7.
conditions we were playing in. Well, that's a very favourable kiss. I mean, you play that shot cross into that red a lot of times and you wouldn't finish as unfavourably as he has very often. Anything but that kiss on that middle red leaves him on a choice of reds. The recovery shot is not an easy one. Made a good recovery there. We would have been very frustrated had that opportunity not abounded to much. So it's a pleasing start for McGill. This it's only half a frame.
Yeah, Alan McManus was saying he went recently to the unit in Glasgow where McGill practices alongside Maguire and Higgins, and he said Higgins was playing on his own, McGill and Maguire were having a match against each other, and he said all the time he was there, not a word was spoken. It was all business. It's all about putting the work in. It's not a snooker club where there are distractions. It's a purpose-built facility.
I must say, I've not been there, but it sounds a bit sterile. Just call it the unit, at least call it the potting shed or something. Sounds like it might have a bit of charm about it.
Well, important to settle down in any match, but he himself said it's always different playing Ronnie O'Sullivan, so needs to put the frame away now, just settle into proceedings. I remember he played him once in a Home Nations semi-final at the English Open, and he came in our studio the day before and said, I can't beat him. But I think he's moved on from that, because since then, of course, he has beaten him in the biggest event on the calendar.
thing about snooker, and it becomes a bit of a cliche, but there is truth in it, is that it doesn't matter who you're playing, you know, the greatest of all time, someone who isn't going to miss anything, if you can get in before them and not let them get out of their chair, it doesn't make any difference who they are. This frame has been played out like that. Sullivan has had very little table time, long time to think. McGill has played a very consummate frame here. It was perfect frame, dare I say. I think of a perfect frame as a 147, but safety's immaculate, and he's made a frame-winning break when the chance came. Can do no more.
Так, зараз огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон у 4-й райді,
And the other
Девіс
thing about snooker,
58.
the players will look at each other and see what they're doing, what advantages maybe
Перший раунд
they're gaining.
кваліфікації.
McGill wins this UK
Потім в цьому
Championship.
турнірі
We'll
грають
turn up at the
Хусейн
Scottish
Окей,
Open. There'll be about 20
Марк
players
Джой,
with,
Джим
with one of those
Кейхіл,
carbon fiber cues.
Лука Берцинг, Марк
Might be
Джей
starting
Вільямс,
something
Джей
special.
Трам, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі,
Clearly believes in it. And
Joe
he's played,
Higgins,
as you
Jim
say, a
Hendry,
perfect frame really. The good safety to initiate the chance, and then he's
Andy
taken the
Hicks,
chance.
Девід Гілберт,
72.
Так, матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму.
74. 75.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу. Вихід на розовий шар. Так, дальній удар Девіса.
Using a different cue is certainly one that's not made of wood. Is the throw and the use of side is going to be very different. The only way to overcome that is putting in a lot of practice, and as I say, that's what he's been doing.
Так, Девіс набирає 53
Yeah,
очка в
muscle
першому
memory,
фреймі.
Your instinct will change and get used to
Вихід
the
на
new
чорний шар.
equipment you're using. And quite frankly, he looks absolutely superb in this break. Maybe it's giving him something else to think about, a new challenge.
89. 91. 94.
We heard the excitement in the crowd as Ronnie O'Sullivan was introduced, but in the main, in this frame, they've been watching Anthony McGill, who needs this blue, to start with a century.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде цей матч з рахунком 1-0.
So any thoughts he might be overawed today have been dispelled in frame one.
It's been an absolutely delightful break, beautifully constructed.
109.
Yeah, the 30th anniversary of O'Sullivan's first UK Championship victory. Will Anthony McGill be the party pooper today?
116.
He hopes so, and if he carries on like that, it may well happen. 116 the clearance from McGill. He played the good safety to set up the chance. He took the chance brilliantly. He leads already in York 1-0. Well, of course, the first round ends today, and we'll have our last 16 lineup set. On table 2, John Higgins, another legend, 3 times the UK champion. Looks like he's about to win the opening frame against Joe O'Connor, who's playing for Snookers, and actually just playing for potting a few balls. He can't win the frame. The winner of that match plays Neil Robertson or Zhou Yulong. That's a huge match here this evening. Meantime, just a few shots from that opening frame. This was how he got in, McGill, initially, and then he played the snooker behind the brown, and that set up the chance ultimately.
Exactly, it's almost the perfect way, isn't it? The plant, the snooker, which was fiendishly difficult, the eventual error, of the century. You know, it's that's how snooker is kind of meant to be played at this highest level.
Anthony McGill to break.
Crowds have once again flocked to the Barbican. It's been a full house pretty much throughout so far. You kind of expected it today for Ronnie O'Sullivan, but he's a frame down. Anthony McGill, great 116 clearance from him. He's another one of these players who we sort of think of as a top 16 player. He has been, of course, in the 16. Currently 21st. Deep run here in York, he could be back in. And of course, the Masters is the cut-off for our biggest invitation event on Sunday after the final. So he could, you know, potentially play his way into that. But right now, he's got this match to think about, and only this match.
Well, first impressions, one frame of a possible 11. I think O'Sullivan's going to have to play very well to win here. I think even here he's in a spot of bother. The break-off shot. Very interesting match, I think we've got to look forward to this afternoon here between this pairing.
Yeah, and just on that unit, I think they're quite proud of the fact, the three of them, that it's no fun. It's not meant to be. Even just the reputation it has when you hear about it, or they're putting the work in. They're not doing anything other than playing snooker. You know, they're prepared properly. Of course, Maguire didn't qualify. Joe O'Connor actually beat him. He could have played Higgins.
Foul. And a miss.
Goodness me, I mean, if it's called a miss here, we'll be here all day, I think. I have to say, I think there's a chance it might be
Anthony McGill full.
going back. It's a nasty business if it has to. I mean, I really hope, for the sake of our referee, that the balls aren't replaced, because that would take an age. I don't know how many balls moved, but it was a lot. Anyway, seemingly he's going to play it, to the great relief of our referee.
Yeah, Rob Spence, I think, was expecting to have to put them back. He'd be sending McGill a Christmas card, maybe.
Well, as we always say, he does miss, and that might be costly. I wouldn't like to say it would be the right shot to put them back, because it, I don't think you could ever recreate the table as it was, quite honestly. Sullivan thought he'd get through the red, the green. Now he's in.
One. Six. Seven.
Little straight, I think. This may be a slight angle to play with.
Серед огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Вафейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Ека Берці, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джей Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Тім Хендрі,
If it is straight enough,
Енді
that side of
Хікс,
the table, play the black, that would give him options.
Девід Гілберт, Так матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму. Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу. Вихід на розовий шар.
We saw O'Sullivan earlier in the season win the Shanghai Masters big invitation event.
Дальній удар Девіса.
He's also been a semi-finalist at the International Championship, quarter-finalist at the Wuhan Open, but he's withdrawn from 5 other events, including the recent Champion of Champions.
Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
29. $36. Cheers, Ronnie. 37.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
Once again, has he got an angle on this bottom red, or is he a little straight? No, he's going to have to hit something else on the way through here to whatever colour he plays on.
45.
Yeah, it always leads to a problem, but with the brown still close at hand, it should be less of a concern. If he plays this plain ball, he just has to avoid crashing into the green ball on the way back towards the reds around 2 cushions. Well, it looked a certainty, didn't it? Can't imagine what he was thinking there. Whether it's going to hit the green or it isn't. Disappointing end to that break.
49.
49, okay, but not enough to in any way win the frame, so gradually got further out of position on his last 3 or 4 shots. Looks close to a plant, but as you can see, one thing having a plant, you can't get to it, and it's no good. Answers on a postcard as to what he played there. A lot of balls moved, but if he has left an awkward shot, it's only by luck.
But did he try and make the plant, make it into a 3-ball plant?
Well, if he did, they didn't move until about 5 seconds after he hit them.
Got lucky, actually.
Very much so, Dave. Yeah, I mean, a whole bunch of reds over the only red that he could pot. More trouble that McGill has inflicted on O'Sullivan.
Yeah, not least because he's opened all the reds up there and he's got the snooker. So suddenly the table was looking quite nasty and now it's looking a lot more open.
Obviously that was not the red he tried to hit, it was the very bottom red that's on the cushion he tried to lay up to. Just takes you back to the previous chance and how he didn't put it away. Okay, it's not going to be easy with the pink safe, but I mean, he can certainly inch his way back into the frame from here. Maybe even more so than that.
One.
Wrong side of the blue.
Так зараз огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. Грається турнір Ірландія Open. Перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Мафейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Лука Берцель, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джей Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стівен Хендрі,
Well, it's
Andy
absolutely
Hicks.
perfectly played.
Девід Гілберт, так матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму.
7.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лозу, вихід на розовий шар.
40.
Because he could quite conceivably have played O'Sullivan in the World Final 2020.
Так,
Extraordinary.
дальній удар Девіса.
Sat there. It was Friday, wasn't it? Behind closed doors, the semi-final day, the last day. He lost to Kyron and Ronnie beat Selby.
15.
Так, Девіс
Suppose that
набирає
frame that
53 очка в
took
першому
place kind
фреймі.
of summed up the whole of the championship, didn't it? Played in the
Вихід
middle
на
of
чорний шар.
August. Behind closed doors, so many things looking back were different about it. And that frame was just one of the most unbelievable things I've seen that he lost.
20.
Still early in the match, but this feels a frame of importance.
Так, і
28.
Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого
Get
фрейму.
himself into a position of strength, providing he doesn't take low-value colours where that really is not in play. Can get the frame one before the pink is required. But even that will not be easy. With the black not potable to left corner, this red, force it in at mid-range, get onto a colour which won't be easy to do.
$35. 40. $41.
Yes, you also want to get fairly close to these when you're rolling them down the cushion.
48.
He hasn't got much of an angle, so you will have to play it with a degree of pace, which always brings about the chance you might miss it. Your accuracy comes into question here, these. Did fly in anyway. Didn't think he hit it all that well, but it was gobbled up. A good shot, but unfortunately
56.
not so. Going into the brown ball, but he escaped the brown. He'd have been the angle to get from yellow to green. So there's life in this frame. He's not going to get it one here.
Anthony McGill,
But
56.
a good closing shot in that break.
Yeah, of course, Sullivan will need the pink.
Так, зараз огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Вафейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Лука Берцель, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джей Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стів Хендрі, Енді Хікс, Девід Гілберт.
They may be able to get to the potting angle. It certainly, it seems, to get to some of the yellow ball here. But whether he would want to take it on,
Матч грається з 7 фреймів.
unlikely unless he can
Початок
get
першого
off the
фрейму.
green from it. Maybe he feels he can. I think he played that shot. It's very well done as well. It's an excellent safety shot. They've put O'Sullivan in big trouble with the object ball right in the centre of the table. There's nowhere to hide.
Ліву ближню лузу, вихід на розовий шар.
Foul and the miss.
Yeah, this is granite snooker, isn't it, from McGill?
Девіса.
Anthony McGill full.
Happy to accept the 4 points, 15 in it now.
Yes, he wants to make sure he hits it sooner rather than later, obviously,
Так, Девіс набирає
to avoid getting
10 очка в
snookers.
першому
But
фреймі.
before, McGill only needs the
Вихід
yellow
на
as
чорний
well.
шар.
Getting on the green will present some sort of a challenge. So hit it to hopefully get it safe. That's all he can really achieve here. He hasn't got that part of it at all. Like I say though, just yellow to green. I mean, it's not for a right-hander that difficult if you finish right behind the green. But that's what he's now got to do.
Two.
He couldn't have put it anywhere better where he had. So, absolutely A1 and perfect to get on the brow. Whatever happens in this match, you know, O'Sullivan knows that he should have won this frame. The first frame, not so.
Девіс виграє перший фрейм.
Yeah, he was in,
в
wasn't
цьому
he?
матчі
Lost
з
his way on
рахунком
49, lost position.
1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
But also, we've seen a lot of players come out against O'Sullivan in a big tournament and basically quake in their boots. McGill is not doing that. He's doing the opposite. He's turned the screw when he's had to with good safety, and then he's taken the chances when they come along. Very strong start this by the Scot.
Anthony McGill 40.
So Anthony McGill making the early running here at the Barbican in York this afternoon. He leads the 7 times UK champion, Ronnie O'Sullivan, by 2 frames to 0. Table 2, John Higgins, another legend of our sport. He's up against Joe O'Connor. Higgins won the first frame. Joe O'Connor's taken the second. O'Connor's got a couple of wins over Higgins. And as I say, he beat Steve McGuire to qualify. He's a player who we saw quite a lot of last season. He was runner-up in the Scottish Open, semi-finalist of the Players' Championship. This season hasn't been quite so successful yet, but it could all change here today. He seems to like the big occasion, which obviously this is. And, well, this O'Sullivan-Higgins show, I suppose, this afternoon, it could end up they both get knocked out. It wouldn't surprise you that much with the standard in the game now. Of course, Discovery Plus has the second table throughout the championship. So it's 2-0 to Anthony McGill. He's played very good safety and he's taken his chances when they've come along. O'Sullivan was in early in the last frame. McGill did get lucky after that. He played that quite wild shot. He seemed to me to be trying to make a plant. Didn't leave anything on. But after that, he controlled things well. He's keeping O'Sullivan out, which is what you have to do.
touching ball.
Touching ball, so Sullivan can just play away from the reds. Try and send it into a position of great difficulty. McGill doesn't quite achieve that.
Had 12 results so far. 7 seeded players have won, and 5 qualifiers. Of course, we've got 4 more to come today, so it's relatively even so far. And obviously a lot of close matches, although Mark Selby last night completely one-sided against Mark Joyce. Judd Trump as well, 6-1 yesterday afternoon. Other than that, it's all really been quite tight.
Rather strange table here for safety shots of any real significance. Given that you're not really going to play to the bulk end because of the red up there, I mean, it's not a problem, it's just why would you play down there with the red there? So, I mean, to say it's a stalemate, it's not quite right, but it's odd. If he moves that red, it'll open things up. I suppose that just adds a bit of normality to the frame from now. Sullivan will push that red up and down the table, and we can all start again.
Yeah. One thing we have seen from him, particularly in the Chinese events, is he's been relatively quiet in matches, but still dug in and then suddenly produced bursts for a couple of frames of big breaks. So as long as his attitude's good, okay, he's not made a good start. But as long as he's business-like, you still fancy something could happen here for him.
Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Лофейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Лука Берцинг, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джет Трам, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі,
His problem, really, though, is his opponent, who's played really well so far.
Енді Хікс, Девід Гілберт, так матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму. Так, Марк Девід забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу, вихід на розовий шар. Так, дальній удар Девіса. Так, Девіс набирається супровід калкашний фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
Worth seeing again, delightful cueing that one. Chances are, but of course, if you're ever going to go into the bunch, I think there was the prime opportunity.
6. Seven.
Well, they initial pot was brilliant, and he wasted no time trying to make things happen, get the balls open.
Тоді Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
Yeah, he felt he could only play that shot. It was always a little bit of a risk, screwing into a bunch and trying to screw out of them again. And the red on the cushion near the cue ball is a slight annoyance to him. I don't think he's in his line of cueing, but it's definitely a bit of a distraction there. Well, enough to stop him potting it. That's frustration there.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 14.
He just, once again, got out of position a couple of times to the point where the blue was missable and did everything but go in, actually. Look at that. Goodness, that was close.
McGill obviously want to, from a psychological perspective, pick up on that and take advantage here. O'Sullivan has certainly been second best so far. Kind of a mystery, I think, with McGill, why he always seems to come good in the World Championship. He was quarterfinals again last year. Why it doesn't happen more regularly during the season. He has won 2 ranking events, the shootout, which he said shouldn't be one. That's another argument. Indian Open. But they're 6 or 7 years ago now. Because he's clearly a terrific player.
8. Forty. $50.
That wasn't part of the plan, but if the red does pop to the middle, it'll be handy. I'm not sure what he attempted there. It certainly wasn't to glance the bunch. It was either to hit them or slide past them. But either way, he has a red available.
McGill.
Yeah, the miss has come, but it's not really left anything very accessible. There's a few shouts have come on Ronnie, but the opening shot he's left with will not be an easy one. To the point where he didn't play it at all. Could really do with this frame, O'Sullivan. I think going 3-0 down against McGill in good form is going to be an easy assignment, quite honestly. Just get the feeling it, a lot of talk about the 30-year anniversary today, and of course sometimes these plans don't really go how they should. There was no assumption he was going to win, but quite honestly, it's been quite a one-sided match in these 2 and a bit frames. McGill has scored better, and also his safety's been better.
Це огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Мафейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Лука Берці, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джет Там, Ронні Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стів Хендрі, Енді Хікс, Девід
It's
Гілберт.
best of 11. I think if you're in Sullivan's corner now, I don't know how he thinks because he's a little bit different to most others. But you're thinking, look, we've got this frame and one more frame to play before the mid-session. You've got to get a piece of the action. Try and get 2-all or at least 3-1 down. And then have a rethink. But as you say, it's Krishna just getting frames on the board, digging in, taking these sort of chances when they come. Because he's on the red.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу, вихід на розовий шар. Так, дальній удар Девіса.
Could be a frame-winning shot here to get this red and get on a high-value colour, but it's very difficult to make it happen.
One.
Девіс набирає центральний в першому фреймі.
This next shot, if he plays pink, and I
Вихід на
get
чорний
the
шар.
feeling he really has to play the pink here. With a little camera red, it could be a very key shot in the context of this frame. That looks okay. Looks okay.
7. Eight.
Well, you can see the bit of frustration where the cue ball was finished there. It's just hard work at the minute to sort of get anything going.
Yeah, I mean, you're screwing back either to avoid the red or hit more of the
Девіс
red than
виграє
he
перший
did.
фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1.
The reason he's queuing from here now.
Так, початок другого фрейму.
Cuba's left a motor to get round for the reds. I think the rest will have to be used, which Sullivan is good. He's a good rest player, but you know, if he could have played left-handed, that would have been perhaps a better option. Don't think he can reach it very easily. Maybe he can. It's a struggle. Very nice shot, that. Very nice.
Well, that's got to be his best shot so far because it's opened the frame up. It's given him every chance now to close to 2-1. If you have seen the new film, The Edge of Everything, where he was mic'd up at the Crucible, you'll know that he lives every shot when he's playing, regardless of anything that's said before or afterwards. When he's out there, he's ultra competitive. He can't possibly have won him out, but he has done without being that way.
The last and more conventional shot here, right-handed. He's played a left-handed shot, 2 rest shots, striving for perfect position. That'll do.
26. 27. $32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 32. 33.
So it's had to work hard to get an opening. McGill left that red over the right corner. O'Sullivan can win the frame now with the 2 open reds.
4-2.
Yeah, very welcome frame, this one, because you just had a bad feeling, if you're an O'Sullivan fan, about the way it was just panning out. But I think the initial shot where he played to just pop the pink from its spot and the cue ball on that right side was actually maybe a better shot than it looked. It made all these things happen. And maybe not the most O'Sullivan-like
56.
frame to win when with his back to the wall in the match, but win it he has.
57.
Just needed a frame, didn't he? And he's won it pretty handsomely in the end.
$62. 64. $67.
It's an interesting match. He's been made to work for these. McGill has looked good so far.
71.
Quite sure how he finished there, but the frame's long since won. I don't think he's ever used the rest so much as he has it in this frame. Seen all the same.
76. $82.
Crowd enjoying this. They've waited a while for it to happen in the match. But after an hour's play,
89.
Ronnie O'Sullivan is on the scoreboard with that sparkling 89 clearance. That's what he needed just to get involved in this match. So Anthony McGill's lead here in York is reduced to 2-1. Now on the other table it was 1 each, and John Higgins was 59 behind, 67 on. He did what he always seems to do, he cleared up, and here he is in the next frame. He needs this red to lead 3-1 against Joe O'Connor.
матчі, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс.
And the frightening thing is, we looked over at the table, we saw he was trailing. We actually said he'll clear up here, and of course it's very difficult to do, but he just does it so often. Even though he struggled a little bit to close matches out all the rest of it lately, in that sort of position, there's absolutely nobody better. And big frame to win, and now making a big break here, 76 and counting. He's going to be in front at the interval. Big match these for the seeds, of course, because missed that. Snooker's needed, because of course they get no ranking points if they lose. If they win, they get 15,000. So it's a massive swing between winning and losing. John Higgins could do with a few at the moment.
Так матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму.
Day 4 at the Barbican in York, and by the end of the day, the last 16 lineup will be set. The first round concludes today. Ronnie O'Sullivan 2-1 down to Anthony McGill. Looks like John Higgins will be 3-1 up to Joe O'Connor. Massive match for Neil Robertson this season. It's one of the biggest matches he's played in a long time because of the position with the ranking points and where he is right now. He could do with beating Zhou Yilong because he's not playing shootout or Scottish Open. So that's tonight, and do join us at 6:45 local time, 8:45 CET. That is a big match for Neil Robertson, 3 times the UK champion. And we're looking forward as well to table 2. This could be, talking about the shootout, there could be a quick fire affair between Robert Milkins and Tepchart and Nu. That's live on Discovery Plus. Waiting for Anthony McGill to return, but Ronnie O'Sullivan 89 break on the scoreboard. It's great to see those pictures from 30 years ago. Some of the people there, Alan Hughes, the great MC, always gave it the big build-up. Of course, a young Stephen Hendry. I mean, Stephen wasn't very old then. He was only 24. Already won plenty, of course, himself. But here we are, 3 decades on. Ronnie O'Sullivan, the world #1, 7 times the winner of this tournament.
Thank you, the
and
fourth
on the
frame.
scoreboard in this match.
Anthony McGill to break.
Тоді Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
Plenty of psychology in snooker, and now the frames are going. But I guess if O'Sullivan was to get to the mid-session interval at 2 each, he'd feel that he'd been outplayed, but not as far as the score is concerned. So he'd like to get this frame won. 3-1 is probably a reflection of what we see in the first 3. We haven't seen frame 4 yet, but McGill has been the better player of the 2. McGill's safety has been good today, for sure. The odd error, but only an occasional one. Otherwise, he's mostly kept O'Sullivan down at the bulk end and behind colours. With easy shots of his own to follow. Well, this looks good for O'Sullivan. Target ball in behind yellow. That is a terrific shot. Exactly as played.
Thanks, Anthony. Touching ball.
cue was being sent around the table from this shot. You don't know exactly where all the balls that you miss are going to finish. He knocked in a good one, Sullivan, into this pocket in the previous frame. Close.
Так, зараз огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Вафейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Лука Берцель, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джей Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стівен Хендрі, Енді Хікс, Девід Гілберт, так матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму.
If you play off the side of the bunch, you have to be very watchful of any reds drifting near a pocket. If you get a good look at them, and you still played it pretty well, okay, he's hit the brown.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу.
Very crucial.
На розовий шар. Так, дальній удар Девіса. Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
This frame, 7.5 minutes old, nothing potted yet. A couple of long pot attempts.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0.
Very good safety shot again, you know. I mean, it's one thing to say, I'm going to try and blow behind yellow like O'Sullivan did, or green or brown, like he did there in behind brown. But you know, it's a very well-directed shot and puts your opponent always in a lot of trouble. O'Sullivan looking to play out of a snooker here. He might be able to get to a couple of the reds on the right directly, but to do what with them? Good play that for McGill, that last shot, very good. Sullivan now has got into trouble with a couple of these escapes in this match. Well, this one doesn't look very good at all for Ronnie.
Foul and a miss. Anthony McGill.
Whatever it was he played, it was not that. It was quite a little directed escape. I think you could see a couple of reds as well there. Anyway.
You could see the annoyance. He's dug in hard in this frame, O'Sullivan. It's now 9.5 minutes. But McGill has won the initial battle, it would seem, safety-wise.
He's going to have to play it. I mean, I think miss has certainly been called. But I'm not so sure if he had him put back, they'd get a better chance than this. The first red's a little tricky, though. To cut back, here we're going into other reds.
One.
Just flicked to red on the way through. First in again, McGill earned by a very fine safety shot behind the brown.
Yeah, and first frame, He had him behind the brown, got in, made a century. So let's see how far he gets here. Of course, since then, O'Sullivan has come to the party with that 89 in the last. Well, that's how far he got.
McGill 1.
That's a very serious mistake. He gets a lot of work on the ball with that graphite cue. I've seen him, the cue just roars back down the table. Well, it did there again, but he got nowhere near the yellow for whatever reason. I think there was some movement there behind the bulk end of the table.
Yeah, the issue is that it's the interval on the other side, so people are coming back in, which is not their fault, but obviously he's playing towards them here.
One.
Very good shot, and you saw from that low camera angle that he got very close to blue, potting the red. It's a very big chance that's come his way through not his own good play, but from the mistake, serious one by McGill.
Eight. Thirty. Forty. Ninety. 20.
Just a little bit more angle on this pink ball than he really wanted. Just stretch over, but he's got to watch the cue ball here. He's got to play off a cushion. Yeah, well, he's ended up on the key red, because that red that he's going to play now is the one that was blocking the black off to the left corner. So in a way, it's worked out for the best. Now that red has wriggled in.
Так зараз огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Мафейн, Марк Джой, Джон Кешел, Лука Берцінг, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джей Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стів Хендрі, Andy Hicks,
And also, I mean, without sort of going back to the old days, it's true, you never used to see replays of shots. You know, I think if you analysed a few shots from even 30 years ago when he won it the first time, you'd see plenty going in. Anyway, McGill had his chance, didn't he? And it was noticeable he didn't take it this time. He only, in fact, potted one ball and then missed the yellow. So things have turned. It's up to O'Sullivan to try and put the frame away. Be delighted with 2-2, because he was frozen out largely the first two.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу, вихід на розовий шар. Так, дальній удар Девіса. Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка у першому фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
50.
It's been a good 4 frames, enjoyable. Certainly the way that McGill, if you like, sort of took the sting out of O'Sullivan straight away and kept him in his chair. And then took a 2-0 lead when O'Sullivan did make an error or two. As you're seeing though, O'Sullivan's not done much wrong. Pot success very high.
57.
Quality match this. I expect it to
58.
remain that way because McGill, seen all the work he's been putting in, and it's all for this moment, this day. Doing that practice from every day to get to this level. And he's competed, but he'll be annoyed if he doesn't get to the mid-session interval with a lead, and it seems now unlikely that he will.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1.
Yeah, I mean, we've said O'Sullivan's dug in, but McGill has as well. He dug in to get the initial chance in this frame, and then it came to nothing. This red, and it's looking like 2 each. Snooker's required.
66.
Set up nicely for the second half. The audience, I'm sure, would love to see Ronnie O'Sullivan century. For many of them, it might be the first time they get to see one in the flesh. McGill didn't want to see one, obviously, from his perspective.
74. $81. 82.
So he's just sort of broken free of the shackles that he was put in. Ooh, the red has stayed out. But 89 is a fine way to end the mini session. It matches the break he had in the third frame. He was in a bit of trouble, being frozen out, 2-0 down. He found the response. So it's set up nicely as we go to the mid-session interval here in York this afternoon. Ronnie O'Sullivan and Anthony McGill are all square at 2.
Actually a foul. Absolutely, and he was 3-1 down there, going 3-2, bang in the match. So at this point, you just when you throw your shot, put it in the pocket.
Well, hopefully there won't be any chalk-based issues here. We will talk about that and much besides. Ronnie, one of the very few players not to use the town chalk. We'll talk about that, but let's hand back to our commentary team once again for this one.
So 2-2, all to play for possible 7 frames. McGill made the running a century, dominated in the end in frame 2, or he won it anyway nicely, but O'Sullivan hit back-to-back 89s. Packed house again at the Barbican. Wondering who's going to come through. The winner plays Robert Milkins or Tepchara Nu. They're up this evening. Just a reminder that overall head-to-head coming in was 7-1 to O'Sullivan. The one that McGill won was at the World Championship, but O'Sullivan won their meeting in this event, quarterfinals, back in 2014, 6-4, and indeed most recently this season in Tianjin. See, the safety has favoured McGill, but he didn't make the most of it in that last frame. He got the chance. Mr. Yellow, pot success is favouring O'Sullivan.
Touching balls from.
Going to put the rest on the spider, extra height. Touching both reds.
too thin. But whether he's left anything seems unlikely.
Так, зараз огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Тож на цьому турнірі грають Сильно Фейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Лука Берцинг, Марк Джей Вільямс, Дже Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стівен Хендрі, Енді Хікс, Девід Гілберт,
Yes, that's a mistake. Now here is a chance at long range.
Так матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого
Just missing
фрейму.
the pot, but thinking about his colour. Natural angle, I think, pulling this cue ball will just run in towards all the reds. As you can change that. Using backspin. Going around the back of the reds.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу. Вихід на розовий шар.
Sullivan is usually reluctant to just drop in behind the colour unless there's real danger for his opponent. So it's around the angle, not close to a red, however.
Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому фреймі.
Four.
Вихід на чорний шар.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Yeah, he's clearly appreciating his safety's got to be good. McGill has looked dangerous at times. Okay, didn't take the chance in the fourth, but remember he started the match with a century. So in all areas right now, O'Sullivan is on it. This match has just turned a little in his favour.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
Again, very well played. You can see the he was playing the right-hand side to almost swinging the cue ball wide around the table. So they're quite threatening safety shot McGill has played. Brilliant safety shot to hit it first time, even better. The need of 2 or 3 attempts after a miss being called. First time, bang on.
Yeah, he looks really switched on in all areas. As I say, that's a good sign. Prepared to dig in, prepared to plot, to graft and play the safety, play the tactical stuff to earn the chance. He knows McGill is cut from that sort of cloth himself. always a fan of the four-table setup here, O'Sullivan at York. He was a bit busy and lots going on and movement and, you know, a bit cluttered, but he's always preferred prestigious setup. And it certainly is here. It's a terrific arena. Good feel about it. Feels special, which it should do. It's the UK Championship.
Could be a big fluke, that. I mean, it was a dangerous shot to be playing, and you know, the risk of missing it was potentially a big one. Be on a colour, but even then, just seeing the red go in instead of staying on the table and leaving a chance for your opponent is still an important fluke. Ball's going to finish anywhere once the red doesn't get potted.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Another frame that's taking a bit of time to get going, but it's intriguingly poised with all these reds spread far and wide. McGill knows the danger is O'Sullivan. If he just starts clicking into a groove and making breaks, this match, you know, in an hour's time could be over. So it seems that he's the one slightly on the back foot at the minute.
To have a bit of a problem here, trying to find a way up the table. Maybe this is a potting attempt, is it? Just because he can't see a safety shot.
Так зараз один матч, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Тож на цьому турнірі грає Сильма Фейн, Марк Джой, Джим Кехіл, Лука Берцинг, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джеф Крам, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стів Хендрі, Andy Hicks.
So now that it's gone in, black free, and got into both corner pockets. Terrific chance for O'Sullivan.
Так матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму.
Yeah, McGill's long game has let him down really today. Just 1 out of 5 pots from distance.
8.
So although the safety's been good,
Так, Марк Девіс забуває червоний шар
attempts
в
at
ліву
long reds to
ближню
get
лузу.
in have not been coming off.
На розовий шар.
And we're looking at the last player you want to give a scoring chance to. Obviously O'Sullivan top of that centuries list.
Дальній удар Девіса.
In fact, he's made 152 centuries in this event alone over the years. Only 58 players have made that many in all events in their careers.
Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
22. 23.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
Plenty in the middle of the table here without too much to think about for O'Sullivan.
30.
Yes, and even the red up the table, so which he may need to just play on here because he's finished just the wrong side of the blue. Good finish. Well, he had his cue pointed there for the red into the left corner as well.
$36. 30.
I think it was a better shot than it looked because you can easily screw into the green and leave the cue ball close to a cushion. Perfectly judged for the black. The lead is building all the time. McGill has been kept quiet on either side of this mid-session interval. Now it's 23 minutes since he last potted a ball.
45.
Just getting the feeling the match is turning around a little bit from the early. Definite supremacy from McGill. You know, he's the better player. Anymore, I wouldn't say. Safety's been good, but one or two errors have crept in the scoring department.
52. 53. 58.
Right ball then. And it'll be 3 on the spin.
59.
Yeah, the chance looked a good one. We saw that raw talent, of course, 30 years ago. It was more than just talent, it was a kind of inspiration. But, of course, he's become a more complete player over the years.
Just a little glance up at the scores there. See what he could afford to do. Well, I don't think it matters now, but he already was at a point where McGill wanted a snooker or two.
65. 66.
Speak about O'Sullivan's raw talent. He still plays the game. You know, as a youthful player, I think, even though he was 30 years ago he won this title. Anyway, he's done enough to
Ronnie
get to the lead.
66. And the frame.
Yeah, pretty swift break of 66, wasn't it? McGill missed the long red, he left the chance, and for the first time this afternoon, Ronnie O'Sullivan is in front. He's made his move. He leads 3-2. Now then, John Higgins, he's a great contemporary. He's on table 2 this afternoon, and he's 4-1 up. He made that big clearance in the third frame that I mentioned, easily won the fourth, and has easily won the fifth. So Higgins looking good there. He's lost a couple of matches to O'Connor in the past, but well, it's it's about closing it out, which he has struggled to do of late, although usually against a really top player, and often that top player has played brilliantly against him. He'd be a bit of a surprise, I think, if he lost from 4-1 up here, but we'll see. It's on Discovery Plus, and whoever wins plays Neil Robertson or Zhou Yulong. And that is, I keep saying it, but it's a massive match for Robertson there with the ranking points. If he loses that match, he won't be in probably any of the Players' Series events, and he will probably, well, he'll be in the position where he might have to qualify for the Crucible, because all those points will be coming off, and there won't be that many events left to get them back on again. So big match for him this evening.
Anthony McGill to break.
So McGill was looking good at 2-0. He was in control. He was keeping O'Sullivan out. Things have turned round. 2 breaks of 89 and 66. O'Sullivan 3-2 up. Best of 11 place in the last 16 here at the Barbican.
Так зараз буде огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Вафейн, Марк Джой, Джон Кехіл, Лука Берцинг, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джей Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Стівен Хендрі, Енді Хікс, Девід Гілберт,
Well, McGill's long red not easy. O'Sullivan's up into the top left pocket if he plays it. Equally
так матч грається з
not
семи фреймів,
straightforward. This was
початок першого
that
фрейму.
close.
One.
Looks good. He's on the green. Would need the brown if it goes, but over to the right there, there's a chance
Так,
to
Марк Девіс забуває
send the
червоний
cue
шар
down
в ліву
towards red,
ближню
or even
вузу,
into the bunch
вихід на
perhaps.
розовий шар.
If he'd land on that bottom red though, from just below and to the right of it, it would give him the chance to open balls up in that way.
Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
6.
He has to go into them now. Can't believe he wanted to be just where he is though. That's finishing low on the black. Too low. Comfort. Yeah, well, it wasn't perfect by any means to be on it. There his next shot. Give McGill a bit of hope that he'll come back to the table. This is not an easy pot.
14.
Well, good signs here. As he cans into the pink and loses his way completely. But there were good
Девіс
signs
виграє
until that
перший
shot.
фрейм і буде в цьому матчі
I was just thinking though,
грати
British
1-1.
audiences haven't had much of a chance to see him, have they? He played at the English
Так,
Open in
початок
Brentford,
другого фрейму.
but this is his only other event on UK soil since the World Championship.
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
Been
90.
prioritising China. Anyway, that break is over.
If there's any sort of a plant there. He certainly had a long look at the bunch into that right corner. I think there might be something close to a plant, but of course close not good enough if you leave everything in. set up towards that pocket, but no, he decides against it. I think you've got to be sure about it because every red would move in the bunch. Anyhow, he decided against anything like that. Just a few signs of McGill's game losing its cutting edge that we saw earlier on. Started very well. That century break took advantage of a mistake from O'Sullivan to win frame 2, but since then he just missed a few. And the sharpness is not quite there now. Again, he's looked at this bunch of reds. This time he's playing one. We saw a terrific display last night from Mark Selby of his long game in absolutely brilliant shape, but this shot was as good as anything we saw that last evening from O'Sullivan.
Yeah, ignoring all of that on the screen there, the actual number of pots, 9 out of 10 from distance, as opposed to McGill 1 out of 7. So that's made a difference, certainly, in terms of getting in, setting up these chances. So McGill suddenly being frozen out in this match. Sullivan has found his range, found his confidence, starting to look good. Well, he was looking good.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
That miss really came out of nowhere.
Yeah, at a bad moment really, because like, as you were saying there, you know, he just started to get the upper hand. It's not the time to miss one and just bring some hope back to your opponent. And sometimes it's not always the good that you do that inspires your opponent. It's the odd mistake that they make. He's not put the ball for a while here. 33 minutes. Now he might play it left-handed as well, so doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy to get off the cold list, if you like. Put the ball for a while. Anyway, the plant maybe helped. So now what has he got? This is a moment where he has to find some of that early form back.
I mean, everyone's different, but it does seem McGill, he's sort of capable of just absorbing himself into the match, as it were. You know, he's a player who sees the 12-by-6 rather than, you know, sort of see looking around the arena, getting distracted. So let's see if he's ready to take this chance. I feel he will be, even though he has struggled
Іграється
last half an
турнір
hour or so.
Ірландія Open. Перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому
Fascinating
турнірі
character, I
грає
think. I
Сеймон
know
Фейн,
Alan
Марк
has long
Джойс,
spoken
Джон
highly of him,
Кефін,
tipped him to be a world champion.
Лука
Certainly, he said
Берсінг, Марк Джей
when he
Вільямс,
qualified for the
Джо Трам,
Crucible, he
Ронні
would go well
О'Саліван,
there, and
Марк
he did.
Селбі,
He has
Джо
done ever
Хіггінс,
since.
Тім Хендрі,
That's why the
Andy
mystery is
Hicks.
why
6.
he struggled at some of the other venues.
He's not played a very
David
good shot there.
Lindbergh.
And just getting a bit further up other side of level with the blue would mean that he had such an easy shot to get from this shot to his next colour, the next red rather.
Так матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму.
Still feel that he is struggling for rhythm even in this little mini break that he's put together. Table is not easy to think that he might win the frame from here.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу. Вихід на розовий шар.
phone going off wouldn't have helped.
Anthony
But
McGill.
Daniel
Eleven.
Davis.
break to come to an end either way.
I can be wrong, but I just sensed that was coming. He hasn't really got any rhythm back, even though those little few shots he potted.
Так, Девіс набирає стрілочку в першому фреймі.
His favour. Couldn't possibly be that way,
Вихід на
could
чорний
it?
шар.
He carried on through it.
One. Five.
Well, it's one of those frames where they've both kind of
Ronnie
just
O'Sullivan,
gone a bit,
five.
Так, і
and almost mistakes are
Девіс
becoming
виграє перший
contagious.
фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком
It's
1.
worse though, isn't it, when
Ноль.
it's not as if you've
Так,
put
початок
under any
другого
pressure to
фрейму.
miss. It's almost like the just concentration has gone for a moment or two. And Sullivan has got a chance to really pull away from his opponent here. He hasn't taken it in 2 attempts. Is that going to come back to bite him?
We saw it last night. I was doing the miss again, the Lazowski-Jones match, and there was a spell in that one of the frames there where, you know, it was club standard actually, but it can happen. It's about regaining focus. McGill has got an unexpected chance. He struggled for the last sort of 40 minutes in this match, so really has to take this chance now, just get his equilibrium back, if nothing else. Many a time in the past, the mistakes he's made, you know, he would have been buried by an on-form O'Sullivan by now.
Seven. Eleven. Twelve.
High value colours, a little awkward. Black not potable. Getting the pink on his spot would be very handy. Because I think O'Sullivan was interested in that from the ready end up missing to the left corner,
Sevens.
getting onto the pink was the plan.
Eighteen.
Played that well to finish there.
Twenty-three.
That's come awkwardly, isn't it? Very awkwardly. Those frames.
Anthony McGill. 23.
gone a little bit flat, but I just feel it's a significant frame now. Whoever wins it, O'Sullivan will take him too clear. Trailed 2-0, and the wind has been taking both players' sails a little bit.
Так, зараз буде огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open. Перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Вафейн, Марк Джойч, Джон Кехіл, Лука Берцинг, Марк Джей Вільямс, Джей Трамп, Ронні О'Саліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Хіггінс, Тім Хендрі, Енді Хікс.
Wow, what a shot that is. He actually got into the white there.
Yellow ball.
Just allows him to take control of the frame.
Так матч грається з 7 фреймів.
Anthony McGill.
Get him
Чек
behind the
першого
yellow.
фрейму. Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу. Вихід на розовий шар.
Yeah, I mean, he played it well enough there. He would have gone for the pot, but he would have been very aware of the cue ball coming down into that general area. Very often you see that shot doesn't always end up being a snooker. It's so far in behind the yellow, that's what happened.
Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому
With
фреймі.
McGill was trying to get
Вихід на
Keeble
чорний шар.
sort of tied to the yellow himself. He didn't. Now suddenly he's in trouble. Quite a big frame, really. He's lost the last three. The standard has dropped in this one. If he could just scramble it, we go again at 3-3. But if he goes 4-2 down, he's got a lot of work to do suddenly.
Yeah, and he's in a spot of bother now because this is it's one thing hitting the snooker, but of course keeping the ball safe. It looks like he might go for the 2-cushion glance. He was never going to hit it. I'm not even sure with any certainty which
Foul.
Reddy was trying to
Ronnie
play thin
O'Sullivan.
off.
Yeah.
I reckon the middle one of the three, but either way, you have to do better than that. The chance that you could leak 12 or 16 points on the shot, which could be important points at this juncture of a frame. You know, and you can't afford to leave one. And
Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
Just before we pocket ahead. Yeah, I can check it if you want.
Didn't it being quite as... I thought I could see all of this,
That's what I mean, just before we go back.
sort of easily.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I'll
dialogue
check it, it's
between
all right.
player and referee just to ensure the balls are replaced in the absolutely correct position. It looks right, doesn't it? Looks like
Looks perfect here.
looks like one.
Okay, wrong.
So we go again. I think he's trying to hit the middle red, glancing the left side of it from what I can work out from attempt one. Well, that's like a carbon copy of the last shot.
Foul, you miss.
Ronnie will be staying in his chair for
Brian
the
Sullivan
foreseeable,
four.
I think.
Desi, can you bring it up, please, for the yellow?
Yeah, they've just got to obviously readjust where the yellow was.
Towards me.
Desislava Boshelova on the marker's desk there
Just
with
a
the
touch more.
freeze frame technology.
And half bow this way.
It's not quite VAR really, is it? But
Maybe just tiniest
they do their
touch
best with what
towards
they've
me
got.
again.
Told you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I always think that the sort of
Very
a
tiny
ball under the
towards
cue
me
ball doesn't
and
have
a
to
bit to
be
your
replaced
right.
correctly, but of course the yellow does because the cue ball behind the yellow.
Yeah.
So it's got to be right as well. I don't think you could have imagined that the yellow was going to be moved there, so Rob clearly wouldn't know where it was placed originally. He would have taken a note of it anyway.
That's it.
This shot he's playing, he might have to try something different because he hasn't looked like hitting it yet. He's gone directly and equally between those two reds. big adjustment required. This isn't going to change. He's not going to hit this anytime soon, I don't think. And as I say, these points aren't amounting to much. But you know, if he's to miss 5 times and give 20 points away, that's a lot of mileage, I think, at this point in the frame.
Yeah, I think in the arena that the 4 points went on the wrong player, but they've gone on O'Sullivan's now. It's correct on our screen.
Gradually getting closer, but he still hasn't hit it, basically. Has he left a free ball? No, he's around the right, of course, but as you make the adjustment too much, and you end up crashing into the red full ball that you're trying to hit thin. That could happen.
That's it, okay.
Attempt number 5. You can see what he was trying to do, and I suppose getting there in the end, maybe the 16 points worth giving away.
Sort of game that you sort of do associate with McGill, the more tactical game, but he's on the other end of it here.
Так, зараз огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Тож на цьому турнірі грає Сеймон Фейн, Марк Джой, Дін Кетчел, Лука Берсен, Марк Д. Вільямс, Лі Чан, Ронні О'Салліван, Марк Селбі, Джо Фігін, Стів Хендрі,
Make it past the blue spot, the red can follow it up the table.
David Gilbert.
So he's playing as if snookered again. He's thinking of it. And of course he has a full ball contact with the right hand red, so if he misses twice, it will be a warning of some kind. Anyway, I think you know what I think he did there? I believe that the 2 reds might be a plan. And he felt that maybe he'd pop the right hand red. It'd be interesting to see, because if the shot was on last time, it's on again. You know, I think he's trying to pop this right hand red here. He thinks that he just might squeeze it down the cushion. So hitting it might mean potting it. He could easily end up over the pocket as well.
Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
Foul in the miss.
Surely he gets warned, does he not? Well, as I understand it,
Ronnie O'Sullivan foot.
you can see that right hand red. We haven't seen down the line, but referee will. It's a warning. He's looking to play the same shot. I'm sure he'll get warned though, which might stop him. No? Why no warning?
Anthony needs one. I was just checking it was 2, that's all, yeah. So I have to call a miss as a result of this stroke. All about the frame to your opponent. Okay.
I thought I was losing my mind, Dave.
No, you're quite right. The warning has come. You've got to hit one, otherwise it's 4-2. That's the bottom line. You can see the red on the right. There's Rob Spencer. Just in time, the warning was issued.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
I suppose that just underlines the trouble he was in, because he made an absolute mess of it, didn't he? Playing a double kiss, he had to hit it at all. Anyway, not much of a frame, but it might be a big one in the context of the whole thing. At the moment, they're both scrambling around looking for the next ball to pot.
So despite many problems in this frame and all the fouls he's given away, he does have some sort of chance now.
Eight. Nine.
And it'll probably come down to probably this shot positionally, and of course the red after it, wherever he is to pot it. Don't want to be straight, of course. It's okay. We've seen one or two slide along that cushion very accommodatingly. Well, that surely isn't going to drop.
Anthony McGill, 14.
Well, it's O'Sullivan's birthday next week. This is an early gift. 5 in front, red over the pocket. 4-2 beckons.
One.
Just played out into an area there, no doubt, and the area has worked out well. I think it was a clever shot. I don't think he played anything in particular. He's finished in line with the brown. He's got to keep his concentration up now, or certainly regather it anyway.
5.
Yellow, green and brown is what he needs.
Seven.
It's not been the most aesthetically pleasing frame, but the crowd roaring him on to win it nonetheless.
I'll go as far as to say it's been a pretty horrible frame, David. Not so much that the balls have gone awkwardly, but both players have their concentration has dipped. I think that's an understatement, but they will count. The fact that O'Sullivan is going to win it is the biggest and most significant moment of it all.
Absolutely. Sometimes bad frames can feel really significant when there's been a lot of chances.
90.
It's a bit of a hammer blow to the person who loses it. McGill had the chance, missed the last red, left it hanging in the jaws of the pocket.
25.
O'Sullivan has taken advantage. So he's going to be 2 from victory. And there's the reaction from the crowd. They'd love to see him win the frame, whatever standard it was. 4-2, he's 2 away from the last 16 here in York. So, table 2, John Higgins now 4-3 over Joe O'Connor. It was 4-1, so that has turned round. I think these best of 11s, you know, they're kind of longer matches than they sound. There is time for one player to get back into it and to have a sustained spell, and Joe O'Connor has enjoyed that clearly. Higgins, again, you know, he's in front but looking to close it out. That has been an issue, I guess, of late for him. Anyway, it's live on Discovery Plus. John Higgins, 3 times champion. Last UK victory for him was back in 2010. He's looking for his first ranking title since the 2021 Players' Championship, 2.5 years now. Times this season he's played really well. It's just converting it into a trophy, which of course is what he would love. So we've had the longest frame so far by some distance, 31 minutes. It did go to O'Sullivan, very bitty frame, quite a few foul points. He had McGill in trouble, but McGill then did get the chance, left the last red. Excuse me, left the last red.
Scott Donaldson и Mark Davis. Scott Donaldson 44-й
John Higgins over
58-й.
Joe O'Connor on table 2.
Играється турнір Ірландія Open. Перший раунд
This is the half of the draw they're in. The winner of the O'Sullivan match plays Milkins or Tepchar and New. Higgins or O'Connor will play Neil Robertson or Joe Ulok. Those matches tonight. Of course, for Fai plays Sel and Zhang Ander plays Luca Brissell in the half in the last 16. So can the 2 legends make it through here this afternoon? Top half of the draw, of course, is settled in terms of who plays who. Ding plays Ford, Williams plays Clark, Selby plays Hawkins, Jamie Jones plays Judd Trump. Just waiting for Anthony McGill to return. Yeah, it's no great surprise they left the arena after that frame. But here he comes. He needs something to happen soon.
Thank you. The 7th frame.
This frame, really.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to Brown.
So O'Sullivan 4, McGill 2.
Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву
He's
ближню
raised to
лузу.
6.
Вихід на розовий шар. Так, дальній удар Девіса. Так, Девіс набирає 53 очка в першому фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
It wasn't a particularly good shot to start this 7th frame either. Given Ronnie a chance, maybe a double to the left middle or that long red. Something that could get him in early. Not easy to start with, however. Didn't hit this all that well. And if he went for the pot, which I suspect he must have, it was a wide, really. That was nice. There was a lot of distance to cover between cue ball and object ball there to stop that cue ball and the spin on it just dying off.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з
I know
рахунком
that he's a
1-0.
wonderful positional player, but he's landed the cue ball.
Так, початок
Most of the
другого фрейму.
sixpence there. Not sure if the left-hand red of the bunch pots anywhere. Yeah, he can get in behind that and then open the red. So the next shot is very key. I mean, it's one where reds will spread.
12.
Question of how much.
30.
Maybe didn't quite open up as he would have hoped.
20.
The championship format's changed over the years, but the last time he lost his first match in the tournament, so the round he came in, was back in 2010. There were 2 years after that he didn't play at all, but he tends to usually get over the first hurdle. Now can he get them open here? Really take a grip on this match.
Well, I think he can after that shot. The Reds have really split. If this red is
35.
rolled into the left centre, then there's no obvious reason why we shouldn't make plenty from this.
36.
Yeah, I mean, that last frame, it was a test of concentration, but he won it. So at least he came out of it with the frame on the board. And just seems to reset here. This is much more the sort of snooker course he likes to play.
Thinking about the first shot that McGill played here, that red to left corner in this frame, on the back of that sticky earlier frame. 31 minutes of it, frame 6. Just a bit half-hearted, and okay, Ronnie did put a good opening red up into the green pocket, but it's almost like McGill has slightly given up, and this break won't make him feel any better about things that Ronnie's now making.
48.
Strong chance of pulling away in this match now.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly got the focus back here.
54.
Yeah, I just think winning that frame has helped, hasn't it? It's a bit of a bonus when you get a frame 1 like that, especially having been 2-0 down, and it amounts to 4 in a row, whatever way you get them. See from up the table there, that left-hand red of the 4 from up on the right side above the pink, it might be potable. He's looking for various ways in which he can pot a red from here. It's slightly awkwardly placed, mostly in each other's way. I'm not sure what he played there. I thought he was going to have the other side on that cue ball and check it back into the reds. The reverse side on it, and it went nowhere near them.
Так, зараз огляд матчів, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 44-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Також на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Офейн, Марк Джой, Джон Кехіл, Скотт Гарсін, Джо Хіггінс, Стив Хендрі, Енді Хікс, Девід Гілберт, Матч грається з 7 фреймів. Початок першого фрейму. Так, Марк Девіс забиває червоний шар в ліву ближню лузу. Вихід на розовий шар.
It's a good shot from O'Sullivan, you know. Maybe unnoticed. He just steered that cue ball into a safe area. He knows that this frame he's not won yet, but he's a very strong favourite to win it.
Девіс забирає C3 в першому фреймі. Вихід на чорний шар.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And you feel it's effectively frame ball. Of course, he's still got to pot a couple more. But those last two shots really just illustrating the way things have shifted. McGill went for the cross double, didn't get it. O'Sullivan finds a great one. Green puts him 65 in front, so one more red needed.
Так, і Девіс виграє перший фрейм і веде в цьому матчі з рахунком 1-0. Так, початок другого фрейму.
Not there though, it was a slight stretch. Yeah, and he's a bit annoyed actually.
Yeah, because these frames can be stolen from here. There's nothing difficult about where any of the balls are. Obviously the clearance has got to be made. He might be able to pot a red here. But of course high value colours are going to be needed anyway. Given that he's not playing all that well, this opening red's going to be a test. Doesn't want to be on the blue. That will not really be enough. He will need the pink, and then it'll be all black. So Nessie plays on the black here. Plays for the black, but that, I mean, that's a more difficult shot than the pink.
Had to pot it. Need snookers now. Two of them.
Anthony McGill won.
And he's left an initial red. Yeah, had to get it. The stage was set for a potential clearance. Pink wasn't straightforward.
Well, he started so well. First couple of frames, very good for McGill. And the last couple, the complete opposite.
One.
It's almost like he, in losing that earlier frame, all the wind was taken out of his sails. He can't get them back. He's missing pots by a long way. Generally, he doesn't look up for the match as much now as he was.
Well, he's just not scoring. He's not made a 30 break since frame 2, McGill. So, she's not going to cut it, I'm afraid.
9. Thanks.
To win this title at 17 was remarkable. To win it just before his 48th birthday would be remarkable. He'd be the oldest and the youngest UK champion.
22. 23.
He hasn't done it yet, but I think there's a chance he could. And fact that he's still in contention to be the oldest winner of these events, that's why people think of him as the greatest of all time now, without any real doubts about it. Not only the tournaments he's won that he's chalked up, but just that longevity, all these years, still being a top player. There's never really been anyone quite like this in snooker.
No, and there may never be again, and that's why, for all the kind of noise that comes along with it, you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy watching him, appreciating his incredible achievements. The crowd certainly here today, I mean, it hasn't been the highest standard, let's be honest, all the way through, but they've really enjoyed it. And they'll enjoy seeing him win one more frame, because that's all he needs now to get this one. McGill has faded, it has to be said, as the match has gone on. He was looking really good at 2-0. Struggling now, and O'Sullivan's taken advantage, and Ronnie O'Sullivan needs one more to reach round 2. 5-2. McGill will have to win the last 4 to stay in this year's UK Championship. So John Higgins led Joe O'Connor 4-1, 4-3 it became, but now 5-3. Higgins has had a century. He's 75th in the UK Championship over the years. Another legend looking good here. Of course, Mark Williams is still going as well, the other celebrated member of the Holy Trinity, the class of '92. He plays Jamie Clark tomorrow in the last 16.
9.
So it could be all 3 of them are still here in the second round. This is why it's so hard for, you know, some of the other players to really make their marks. I mean, these legends are still going strong, and they're not just turning up, they're playing good stuff. And if they're not playing good stuff, they're finding ways to win. They're battling, going down the levels. So Higgins looking good, O'Sullivan looking good to join Mark Williams in round 2.
Так, зараз буде огляд матчу, в якому зіграє Скотт Дональдсон і Марк Девіс. Скотт Дональдсон 4-й в рейтингу, Девіс 58-й. І грається турнір Ірландія Open, перший раунд кваліфікації. Тож на цьому турнірі грає Хусейн Мафей, Марк Джой, Кехіл,
are on the main table tonight. We'll have live coverage, of course, all evening of that. And if O'Sullivan can come through against McGill, as now seems very likely, he'll play Robert Milkins or Tepchar and New. They're on table 2 tonight on Discovery Plus.
25.
David Gilbert.
Quite a few former champions, of course, still around. Ding, Mark Selby, both already through to the next round as well. Mark Williams, Judd Trump.
Так матч грається
Sullivan, Higgins well placed to
початок першого фрейму.
join the lineup. So McGill, as I say, is just kind of faded here. Lost a couple of scrappy ones and had that half chance in the last one, missed the pink, which he needed to keep the break going to set up some sort of clearance. Find something. He opened with a century, remember, in frame 1, but Ronnie O'Sullivan here in the ascendancy, 5-2 up, getting good support, of course, as he attempts to kill it off.
Thank you, the 8th frame. Anthony McGill to break.
Черный шар.
That was a mile out again, and as I say, like that shot in the previous frame, when it went 4-2, the first shot he played was a too
Так почати
carefree
другого
or
фрейму.
I don't know whether it was any sign of being demoralised or what, but this was even worse. I mean, he's absolutely missed that by a proverbial mile.
What?
And now it's gone from a really tight game that he was playing to handing Ronnie O'Sullivan chances all over the place, quite honestly. What a chance, and he's always been the greatest of front runners. O'Sullivan just devouring situations like this from the front all his career, and no reason to think that he mightn't do the same.
Yeah, he so often win a match with a big break. McGill fearing that could happen here, I'm sure. There is still the fight for number one. He's, of course, there right now. Judd Trump, he's a close pursuer. Brissell has an outside chance. Mark Allen, of course, has been knocked out.
$20. 21.
Well, that's a sort of list of the size of breaks. That century, of course, from McGill, that was in frame 1, but since then, 56 in frame 2, and then nothing over 30.
$26.
The reds all lined up down the centre of the table here, very invitingly. He's just gone a bit too far, with the cue ball's kind of running into reds whether he wants them to or not. He'd be quite annoyed if he doesn't get this next positional shot, I think. He's really got into the cue ball. That was not as planned, I tell you.
32.
Got to play a recovery shot when it didn't seem like that was about to happen. Didn't have to happen. Very nice, just beautiful rest shot. There's something we don't think about O'Sullivan with the rest. We said it earlier.
Of the afternoon. 30 years ago to the day, a star was born.